Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Supergirl Survive Issue 1, written by Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan, with art and colours by Rod Reese, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. Kara Zor-El's fate is forever changed in this Elseworld story, as on Krypton, Kara's parents host Jor-El and Lara, who visit their family with their new child, Kara's cousin Kal-El, who unlike most children on Krypton was conceived and born naturally. Kara is given little Kal to look after while listening to her parents and uncle and auntie argue about the state of the planet. It's at this point she decides to vow to protect Kal with her life. An Elseworld story about Kara fulfilling her duty of protection on baby Kal-El feels very long overdue, but it's the perfect time for it really. We have a Supergirl movie coming out in about 2 weeks, there's a Superman film being shot right now, so love and exposure for the House of El and the Superman family is at an all-time high, so it makes sense to start doing all these Elseworlds books. Just last week we got Father of Tomorrow, which explores what if Jor-El became Superman on Earth. Again, I really love that we're actually getting to explore these things with the Elseworlds line again and not having them relegated to like Black Label or just like one-off things that happen in the books every now and then. I like that there's actually an Elseworlds label now again. 2 years later, Kara is attending the Kandor Primary Academy, dreading the upcoming school dance since she doesn't know who to ask to it. Her friend Sav thinks that she should ask Benlo, and I really like what artist Rod Reese does here, where we get a look inside Kara's school locker, getting an idea of what type of kid she is. She seems like she's quite well liked around the school, like people, like her. She's a friend to all, she's easygoing, she's a bit of a nerd, she also likes sports. It's a neat little panel and does a lot to inform us on what this version of Kara is like, because we always get stories with Kara pre-Krypton's destruction and it feels like we never really get any of this stuff. We get hints at it. We get hints at like her life outside of dealing with Kal or the family and everything, but we never really get to see it all that much. Kara and Sav head to class and Kara awkwardly takes her seat next to Benlo, who clearly also likes Kara as well, and they both attempt to ask each other out, albeit very awkwardly, before deciding to fall silent as the roll is called. Suddenly an alarm goes off in the school for an atom drill, and the students get under their desks as they are taught to do in the event of a nuclear attack. I'm loving all of this flavor that Parker and Sheridan are injecting into this story and giving us an idea of like what the state Krypton is in at this point in time. Kids are doing old school duck and cover nuke drills under their desks. There's like an air of tension to everything around them. Even the way like these characters are drawn, where like everyone except for Kara is drawn wearing this very like militaristic, very formal outfit, whereas Kara's wearing like a hoodie with blue markings all over it to make herself look a little bit different. But I kind of like we get the idea that, this is a Krypton that's not in a very good state. Nuke drills, we saw the stuff at the start of the issue where the elves are sort of talking about the state of the planet and how it's all kind of gone to shit, so it's not a very good place for it. I do like that they are kind of swerving away from the whole, Krypton's core is destabilizing and it's gonna blow up. It looks like they're moving towards something much like nuclear war and something that could realistically happen to a far off world, and hey, maybe also could happen to our world as well, kind of having us relate to it in that regard. Like the drills the kids are running where they have to duck and cover under the desks are things people did during World War II. So I quite like that it's drawing from real world things and stuff that has happened in history. While they are under the desk, Benlo asks Kara to the dance and she accepts. And I really like this Benlo guy. I know he's probably going to die in a horrible flaming nuclear inferno, but he's got a good energy to him and it's going to suck to see him go. And I'm sure he's probably going to be dead by the end of the issue. After the drill and some more classes, Kara and Sav head for Argo Pier to celebrate Kara managing to score a date to the formal. After blowing off some steam, Kara heads home late, finding her parents are still up watching the news about yet another K-mine riot, with the Emperor's broadcast after the riot sparked further turmoil. Zor and Allura ask how Kara's day was, learning about the atom drills the school ran, but Zor-El ominously says that the precautions the school teaches aren't going to be enough when these things hit, and these so-called riots weren't actually riots at all. They were actually just peaceful protesters, yet they're being labelled as terrorists. The news starts back up and Krypton's insane military dictator, General ZOD, makes a televised address declaring the protesters are terrorists And to deal with them, he's going to threaten overwhelming violence in order to stamp out their little insurrection. Okay, so now we kind of get to see how different this Krypton is. It's ruled over by Emperor ZOD, one who seems to be completely against anything science related, and it's all about war and an iron grip on the people of Kandor. The odd thing about this ZOD is that he looks very similar to Ra's al Ghul, like right down to, got the pointy white beard, the green cape. He looks very much like Ra's al Ghul, and it makes me wonder if, maybe they might be something to that a little later on down the line, because I have a feeling, you don't set this stuff up just to immediately get rid of it. It's got to come back at some point, and it's General Zod, one of Superman's biggest villains, so I can definitely see him going up against Kara, or maybe hunting down Kara as she protects young Kal or something. This also gives us another great look at what this Krypton is like, and I like that it's kind of a sci-fi hellscape, but by way of 1950s Jetson era sci-fi, where we see Zor-El's TV, and it's like an old CRT, and he's got like the remote control that's like big and bulky and has like 3 buttons on it. It's cool stuff like that. I really like when artists and writers go for like a very old school Sid Mead type sci-fi world, and that's what Rod Reis is doing here in spades across the book, and it makes it just look so much cooler than just general, sci-fi modern stuff. It gives it some character. Zor-El turns the TV off and tells Kara to go and do her homework, as he reminds Allura that they have prepared for this and it's really happening. Kara retreats to her room, and we get some real sick world building as the planet orbiting Krypton is revealed to have been turned into an irradiated wasteland by the atomic war, lighting up the night sky with an eerie emerald green sheen. Kara wonders if this will be the fate that awaits Krypton, as suddenly alarms blare, and out the window Kara sees missiles blast off from the city, heralding the beginning of nuclear war. Allura barges into her room and collects Kara, but Zor screams for them all to get out of the house as the emergency broadcasts begin, telling everyone to seek shelter. As the family head out of the house, they find Jor-El, Lara, and baby Kal-El running towards them. Zor-El is angry to see his brother, since he hasn't seen him in over a year, assuming that Jor-El has come to gloat that he was right about the war and make a big show of rescuing them with what he has planned. But Jor actually says he's there to ensure their whole family survives, and that it's time to use the thing they built together. The family head to Zor's lab, where he reminds them that it's nothing but a prototype and they don't have room for them all. They begin powering up a red ship, as Jor says that he hates that he was so arrogant to think that he would have more time, as Kara learns of the ship her parents and aunt and uncle were designing. So like a lot of other Elseworlds, I guess the Elves just didn't develop the ship in time, and all that's left is one ship just big enough for baby Kal-El to fit into. This kind of goes into what I was saying before, how this world feels a bit more militaristic and more war orientated than something that's like a science mecca, where Jor would have the resources available to him to actually build something like this, where it doesn't seem he did. It seems like Zor was the only one who was able to build a ship with him, because usually there's 2. Usually Kara gets a ship and Kal gets a ship, but now we've kind of combined it into they only had enough resources for 1. The elves rush around to get things ready for the flight, deciding the children will be the ones to go. Jor reveals that he found a planet in Sector 2814 that will be relatively safe for the kids to hide out on for years. While the parents rush around to get things ready, Kara isn't taking any of this well, having a full-blown panic attack as she has no idea what is going on. Zor quickly gives Kara a special spacesuit for the flight, as Kal is loaded into the ship, dosed with a sedative that will keep him asleep for most of the trip. Lara asks Kara to look after Kal and keep him safe until they find him, as the ship is sealed with both Kal and Kara inside, and with a click of a button, Zor sends the ship off into the sky. The chaos of this send-off is so unlike what we usually see when Kal or Kara get sent to Earth, since usually there's the quiet moment amongst the chaos, a moment where the parents get a chance with their child. We get those famous Jor-El speeches we see in the movies and in stuff like Birthright, but we don't get any of that here, and I kind of like that. It kind of makes it a bit more realistic, where you would be quickly running around trying to get everything you can ready as quickly as you can just to get these people out of harm's way. You wouldn't have time to kind of monologue to your child about what they'll grow up to be and how they'll help humans and everything like that. You wouldn't really have that moment. It's a nice moment to have, but realistically that would not happen, and I like that Parker and Sheridan are actually doing the realistic thing, where it's all just kind of chaotic and just no one knows what's really going going on. As the ship blasts off, Kara tries to get control of it, but one of the ship's wings is clipped by a missile as it leaves the atmosphere, and it's knocked off course. The damaged ship drifts over to the irradiated dead sister planet of Krypton, crashing on the planet's surface. Kara recovers from the crash, finding both her and Cal are alive, and after exiting the ship, she gets a good look at what has become of Krypton, which is now covered in atomic explosions and burning cities. So I guess this Krypton doesn't actually explode, it just kind of descends into nuclear war, and probably like the planet that Kara has ended up on, becomes an irradiated wasteland, and that's where like kryptonite comes from in this universe, I imagine. This also means we could see other characters, like I said before, Emperor Zod, or even the L's again further along in the series, like they've managed to survive and they've managed to get off world and are now looking for Kara and Cal. Having Kara also crash on this planet isn't what I expected. I expected her to be, they'll go off into space and, something will happen where the ship has to like pull off onto a side planet, and it's a planet we've seen from somewhere in Superman lore, or like, they run into a Green Lantern, stuff like that. I imagine that was where it was going. It was kind of going to be Lone Wolf and Cub with Kara and Cal, but I like that they've crashed basically on the planet orbiting Krypton, and they just get front row seats to the destruction of their homeworld and probably the death of their parents. It's incredibly grim, and I like that. I like that they actually went for that. Cal begins to cry and Kara pulls him from the crashed ship, trying to calm him down, but the ship produces a laser gun from one of its side panels, warning her of unregistered organisms approaching. Kara grabs the gun in time to confront the creature which has crept up on them, as the ship suggests defensive measures be taken. Supergirl Survive issue 1 was a fantastic start to this new Supergirl Elseworlds book. It's just a fantastic time in just figuring out how to get off Krypton, like what happens to Krypton in this world. It's really fun diving into all of the stuff that Sheridan and Parker are developing here. Some really neat ideas which I really hope we get to see again, especially Emperor Zod, ruler of Krypton. That's a really interesting take on Zod, one we seldom get to see. I'm also really liking just in general this take on Krypton, a planet which has just descended into nuclear war instead of, the core being destroyed, Brainiac having a hand in its destruction. None of that is here. It's just plain old arrogance. It's something, everyone is capable of doing. And I really like that they're showcasing that here with it just, utter chaos erupting in just an instant, which is exactly how it would be in real life if nuclear war broke out. I'm intrigued to see where the series is going to go now, especially because it ended in a place where I didn't think we would be. Which is basically quite near the start of the story. We're barely off of Krypton and already shit is starting to hit the fan, so I'm really intrigued to see what happens in this series. It's got my attention. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.